Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am CA Suvarna Kulkarni. Let me quickly introduce myself. I'm currently serving as the General Manager at Capita for Customer Success. With over 12 years of experience in this industry, I'm a bit more passionate about driving customer engagement and delivering value. I really look forward to this discussion wherein we can, leverage ESOPs for growth. Today, we are privileged to have Mr. Arvind Pandey with us, a chartered accountant and a company secretary by profession. Arvind also holds a diploma in IFRS from London. Uh, he also comes with a rich experience of 15 years, but in banking, financial services, and in insurance sector. He has honed his experience while spending 8 years in some prestigious banks. Since 2018, Arvind has been very important and pivotal part of APAC Financials, an MSME focused lender where he serves as the finance controller and is also a key member of the founding team. Welcome, Arvind. I'm sure his insights and experiences are going to enrich our discussion today. Before we start off and I start putting some questions for Arvind, I would like to just say if there are any questions during the session, during the question answers that happen, maybe or during the conversation, could you please put it in the chat box so that we can pick up the questions at the end of the session? Hi, Arvind, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks, Varna. Thanks for giving this opportunity to be here with you and also to discuss this, very vibrant and interesting topic, which is, buzzword in today's scenario where the lot of startups are coming, especially after 2008 and ESOPs, one of the driving factor which is there, especially for the freshers or even, I was reading some article in CA journal which was being published on on a monthly basis. There I saw that some of the companies even at the fresher level in the campus are also coming with like apart from the monetary compensation they will also give a ESOP. So I think this is a very important topic. While this also needs a lot of deliberation and understanding at to the mass level so that they understand what is ESOP, which is like a future money rather than their cash component which they get on a monthly basis. So thanks, Suvarna. Thanks for getting me here. Thanks.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you, Arvind. So basically, before we get into the deeper or the technicalities of things, can we just start with some basic questions, basic things about this topic for those who are new to this topic? So can you just help us explain what you understand by ESOPs? How it is a part of compensation, we understand. Then how is it different from salary? How it works? I understand too many questions, but just basics of ESOPs for our team here.
So it's like it's very simple. Just to even if you just do the Google or you will understand the name itself, ESOP, which is like the full form itself is a employee stock ownership plan, where the word which is like the stock and ownership itself define what is the ESOP. So stock means you potentially get the shares of the company or stock of the company. If you satisfy some condition over a period of the time, and also it's a like benefit plan where which also gives a ownership responsibility from the day one, where you are getting this ESOP. So it's a it's a part of the compensation. Various companies, most I would say the this is more popular in the startup company where they also offer, apart from the the monetary compensation which is paid in cash, this is also being offered as a part of the CTC, which is like just to align from the day one. Because in the startup or in lot of organization where the people are hired, they see the lot of potential which is there in the human capital. Because apart from the financial capital which is required for day to day operation, human capital is another most important thing which actually drives the whole business. So where this is being offered from the day one, which is being as a part that so that employee feels from the day one that he's also the owner of the company, and with some conditions and other thing which we'll discuss in coming maybe in next question or something, that when he becomes the owner, and so that he also his interests are aligned with his shareholder who is starting the company. While salaries is just to maintain the current standard of living. The cash component is also important, and which is also just to maintain the financial stability. ESOPs are real wealth creators, and there are a lot of tax advantage as well in this. And just to give a more perspective, while because a lot of CAs are must be there on the session, and the ESOPs actually have a four stages where the employee becomes the owner of the share. So the first is, I would say, the grant, like the when employee ESOPs are given. The technical word which is called is a grant. Like on day one, he has been given a piece of paper where it is written that he will get, let's say, 100 ESOPs at the end of 4 year or whatever, depending upon the company. Then it comes to the vesting. So vesting is also, there are companies who will, like, there is a time vesting or there is a performance vesting, which is these are the two very common or generally used, where let's say if it is written after 4 year you will get it. So automatically at the end of 4 year, let's say in 2024 we are giving, 2028 you automatically get that. It is vested. It's just a technical word. It is vested to the employee that now you can buy. But again, there is another things which come is a exercise window, where you actually need to pay money, and buy these shares at the predetermined price, which was determined at the grant date. So that's the one of the beauty of the the whole ESOP program. So let's say the company goes today and they say, I am granting you this ESOPs at 10 rupees. So in 2028, when the company value, let's say, is 100 rupees, you can give at you can just give a check of 10 rupees and you can get the one share. So that's the exercise. And the ultimate materialization, or I would say the liquidation, when you after exercise the shares get allotted to you, or shareholder in demat form, which is now compulsory, and now I mean more from listed and unlisted perspective, and then you sell it and then get money, gets the proceeds into the account. There are only two things which are there, more from the taxation point of view, more technical from people who are on the chartered accountants or on the call, that the taxation comes into the two stages. One is the perquisite taxation, which is like, when you exercise it. So let's say the 10 rupees share you exercise, in 2028, immediately after vesting, that point of time, the employee needs to pay some tax, which is like the fair market value. Let's say if you take 100 rupees minus 10 rupees into 90, so on 90 you have to pay tax at that point of time. And other tax which comes is, when you actually sell it. So let's say if the employee sells it 2030, so then whatever is the sell price minus the FMV on the vesting or on the exercise price, that's the difference, where they again short STCG or long term as per the current slab needs to be paid. So that's the overall, the gambit of this ESOP and how it works in a simple words.
Wow, wow, that was insightful. So you gave a perspective where an employee's perspective of what are the terminologies that are used if somebody gets a grant letter and actually
Yeah,
gets some ESOPs. So they will understand
correct.
what are the basic terminologies. Also, what all they should look out for. Firstly, perquisite tax. Tax being a very something very close to every employee's heart. So one being the perquisite tax, and then once you become a shareholder and once you want to sell the shares, there comes the next step of tax, that is a capital gains tax. So that was
Correct.
really helpful. Now let's go to the company's perspective. So whenever a company wants to make a grant, the
Yeah,
first thing that they come up with is, how do I value these ESOPs? So valuation
yeah,
in totality. See, firstly, valuation in any world is a bit puzzling. Now, valuation for ESOPs gets a bit more puzzling, and there are, especially given that there are so many complexities that we come across in ESOPs. Why I'm reaching this particular point of valuation, obviously, because you come as a finance professional to us, so we are very keen to understand. Uh, as a finance professional, could you just share some key factors that you would consider when you're evaluating this instrument? Also, some insights on how you will demystify the entire process and not make it too complicated. Keep it as simple for people to pick up and think about actually giving ESOPs to their employees.
yeah. So I think it's the very the interesting question you've asked, and like while this is little bit a complex subject, the valuation, and I would just try to simplify this in taking two three variables. I think one of the most important variable in valuation is the duration of the ESOPs. Like in my first question where I was answering you is like the between grant date and vesting there were 4 year gap, and then there is, let's say, if you for exercise you are giving a one more year. So I think the duration of the whole ESOP, that's the most important thing. The higher the duration, the higher the cost, in a simple word, while there are a number of other factors which are there. So that's, I think, one of the most important thing which company needs to take into the account, because it also works on the employee also, because employee also, if he understand it's a commitment and other thing, but at the same time, a lot of people will also that we have to be there for 4 year 5 years. So it has to find some balance which is there, and because it also leads to an accounting cost which is there on the income statement. The another important, very important factor is the volatility factor, and more so this from unlisted companies where we are valuing the stocks. And if you take the market which is like just going into the one direction, so and let's take the BFSI sector, or the volatility is in the range of 35 to 50%. So that's the another factor which derives the cost. Higher the volatility, the cost will be higher, because the expectation of the market is like the price will grow. So ultimately, if the employee is given 10 rupees ESOP today at the grant date, and if at that time the at 50% volatility or 40%, the price will be, let's say, 100 or a thing, obviously the employee will derive a lot of benefit. So there is a associated cost with the various valuation model which needs to be there on the company's P&L. The last, I would say, the the factor is the what is the fair market value which is there. Again, for the listed companies it is there available on the stock prices, but for the unlisted, again, it's a completely a different subject, that how you determine the valuation of fair market value on exercise date, or on the various dates on the perquisite date and all those things. So that's, I think, these are the three which are very important factors to determine from the company side what will be the total P&L cost into the company's income statement.
Okay, okay. So I understand. So this is the P&L cost you have given, and being a
Yeah,
finance professional, like I had asked you, you have stuck
yeah,
to how you're going to value ESOPs. Now let's
yeah.
come to a little shift on the focus and get to a broader impact of ESOPs. So, um, do ESOPs actually contribute directly to the growth of the companies? Have you seen that? More specifically, have you observed this kind of a growth in APAC financials where you have implemented ESOPs?
Yes, yes. See, the ESOP, as as we have discussed in like in the first question, the name itself is says ownership. So from the day one, if it is communicated properly, or the plans and everything are much favorable, the employee feels like they are also owning a share of the in the whole pie chart. They also own some part. So they are highly motivated, and they also know that if they are working anything, apart from their monthly or annual appraisal, there is something, there is a wealth multiplier which is happening on the back end, I would say, which is also multiplying their wealth apart from their the annual cash component which is getting. And also, if you see a
Yes.
lot of newspaper and other thing, or the article, if you see even in the previous decade, if you see likes of SDFC Bank and other thing, who have been if you've heard of the various names, like from Adit Puri and number of other people in SDFC, various articles are there in the public domain, that they were there, ESOPs were there, and that's where commitment, and everybody know where the SDFC is there. And there are various the new age startup are also there, where they have some I would say, when they start, they have some cash situation, that they, for high performing employees and other thing, because they also need to invest a lot of things there in their technology, marketing and other thing. They can't invest a lot of things into, they cannot offer like established company 50%, or like a investment banking 100%, bonuses and other thing. So they also give a ESOP where employee also comes on the board. They are also on the same page as a promoter, and over a period, they both of them know that if the company performs well in the coming year, they will also be rewarded. And one of the examples is like, Zomato is there, and a lot of other startups are also there. And while in APAC also, from the day one, like I am being associated from the day one in the company, we have been, we have fairly, transparent and very good ESOP schemes where, the employees have participated, and it has, it's going very good, at both the ends.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So, so as you're aware, right, at Capita, we almost have like more than 2,300 clients, and
Yeah.
we have seen this, firsthand, where we have seen that ESOPs have actually, resulted in boosting the productivity of employees.
Yeah.
Also, and we do an annual survey whereby we reach out to many people. We understand their ESOP schemes, we understand how their schemes are impacting the overall productivity of employees, how these programs are working. We do have
Yeah.
these annual surveys, as you are aware, and we do share it with many of our clients also. It kind of helps to benchmark as to what the world is doing when it comes to ESOPs, and how it is actually boosting the overall employee benefits, employee productivity. Yeah. So I totally agree with you on that part. Okay, let me think of it from a little bit more. All positives done. Now let me understand what are some of the challenges that you came across, or what is it that you see Indian companies encounter while they are implementing an ESOP scheme in their organization.
uh, See, there are like, there are few, I think one of the big challenge is the communication. That how you communicate to the, employees that this is an ESOP, which is like right now as a, piece of paper which has been communicated, but this is a real value creator rather, so that's the, I think the how it is communicated. And especially, maybe let's say finance professional, or I don't think people understand much, but there are a lot of, non-finance expertise are also there in the company, where they also need to understand. And in the current era where people go much behind, that they need a cash component to maintain, high standard of living and everything. And a lot of attrition in the market which is there. The people are jumping for some simple, 10%, 20% growth from this company to the other company. I think the communication is one of the most important, that how you, what are the benefits of the ESOP, and how you can contribute to the company, which will automatically contribute yourself also in the wealth creation. I think that's the one of the most important, I would say, the challenge. The other challenge, more from the unlisted setups, which is there, is that when the event happens from the vesting to exercise, there are the funding of ESOP. See, ultimately, if you have got one share at the 10 rupees, at that point of time, you need to buy that share, and then that's where you need to get some money to buy that. And also at the same time, the regulatory challenge is that you need to pay taxes on that. So see, what is happening is,
Ah,
sometimes feel, it's a good, let's say, capital gain or any tax. You got some money and then you are paying tax out of that. Here, perquisite tax, you are arranging money to exercise, and at the same time you are also paying some perquisite tax. So I think that's the, also one of the biggest challenge which is there. I think these are the few challenges which are there, in the market, at least
I
on the
agree.
ESOP.
I agree.
I can.
So basically, what I hear you. So what I hear here is communication. So communication plays like a very important role. Firstly,
Yeah.
communicating that somebody has got something and what it actually means in terms of
Yeah.
value, because this is
Correct.
something that is not getting credited to their account immediately.
Correct.
So they don't
Yeah.
understand, what is the value that they are seeing in this.
Yeah.
Secondly, a kind of a reminder, a ping regularly to the employee saying that, boss, you have received ESOPs. So, you are generating value as days are going by. If it's like a time based, as days are going by, if it's performance based, as you perform, you're you are generating value, you're creating wealth. So this kind of
Correct.
communication on a regular basis is what you are saying. So first is what the company has given you, and second is
Yeah.
what a kind of reminders on a regular basis, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
what is
that's,
ESOP? That also is a very important thing.
I know, can get complicated sometimes. That what is this, that this piece of paper or this mail
Correct.
communication or a dashboard on a platform? What does all this mean, right? I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with you.
Correct.
That is
Correct.
true. So all said and done, I understand there are a few challenges. Regulatory, tax. See, we are employees. Anybody who is an employee has to have taxes. But
Yeah.
beyond that, there are not much of a challenges I hear from you. So overall, we see a positive trend. So, uh, what trends, Arvind, do you see? In the Indian market in terms of ESOPs in the future?
Yeah.
Is it
At
positive?
least, yeah, this is very positive, especially, this is getting much more positive with the startups coming, where they are offering, lot of, because that's the first thing which they have, to offer, while they will not be able to offer higher, monetary compensation on day one. But that's the first thing which they will offer, that as the company will succeed and you will become a stakeholder from the day one, or you are also the owner to that piece. This is the, the advantage or benefit you will get in, let's say, next 3 year 5 year, whatever maybe, as per the company's plan. And that's where, a lot of companies are now, aligned to offer this, ESOP along with the other benefits which are there. And people have also understand, because, in this current P's of the world and other thing, where we see a lot of companies are getting, P's are investing in a lot of companies, and the ESOPs buyback or ESOPs, liquidation and other thing, which, like, recently we heard, like, Swiggy is going for an IPO. They are got some, a SEBI nod, and at the same time they will be, uploading so much of ESOPs as a part of, secondary sale and all those things. So I think this is also creating a euphoria in the market, and people are also understanding, oh, okay, so this is another benefit which we will get it if we become the part of the company which gives an ESOP. That's a differentiate. People are looking for a such company to join, so that it also gives them, the part of the success story, and they're also automatically creating a wealth generation and wealth creation at maybe, after 3 4 years, where currently from the stand where they are.
True, true, absolutely. So, what I wanted to also understand. See, we hear some companies say, or people in the company say, our ESOP scheme is not working, or maybe the strategy with which they dived into the ESOP is not a success. So,
Hmm.
with like. I hear you where we are saying that, okay, let's give out ESOPs, let's increase, expand the coverage. That's the latest trend from what I see. But there are some challenges also, I'm sure, that the companies are facing, due to which this ESOP initiatives are not turning out to be successful. So as you have been a part of APEC Financials and you have been through all this journey, I'm sure there was some strategy effectively developed to ensure that this initiative is a success. I know it is an HR initiative, but finance also has to play a very important role. So what is it exactly that the strategies, so if our colleagues and our people, viewers, have to understand that in Indian context, what are the strategies that we need to implement to achieve this ESOP initiative success? What would be the few points
No, I think
to
it's a very
consider?
simple, it's a very simple strategy which companies needs to adopt. First is that communication, which we have discussed, maybe the periodic communication, quarterly communication, what is ESOP and how, because what happens in various companies, there will be one central office where people are sitting in, and there are a lot of, take any companies, there will be a lot of field staff and other thing, and, sales people and all the thing, and a lot of people who does not come from finance related background or HR related background. So it is also important that to keep on communicating, this is a ESOP, this is how it works, this is where it will lead to your future, this is what the wealth which will create in the future. And I think one of the apart from the communication, if there can be a dedicated platform which can be created where like in today's era, where I remember in 15 years back when I started, at that point of the time also, not a lot of HR softwares were there, where everything right from attendance to everything is being automated, and a lot of things were done on an Excel spreadsheet or manually. But now, like HR system, this is also a part of system where a platform where which can give a complete 360 view of the the what is the grant which has been given it to the employee, what is the current value, what is the current the valuation of the whole ESOP, when it will exercise. So I think these things which will this communication, periodic communication, will help, and also will help employee to understand where it is going. Let's say this 10 rupees, after 2 years it has become 40 rupees, and like that. So I think this the continuous communication is one of the most important, apart from if there is a platform where employee can log in and understand, those things will be very beneficial for an employee to keep engaged on this subject.
True, true, true. Obviously, I agree with you here. Now, if we move the attention to the financial impact, so one, we know that strategies can go right wrong. If you prepare from day one, we are there. But if we
Yeah.
go to the financial impact of ESOP, so I'm sure as a financial controller, this is like a topic that is very close to your heart. How do you see ESOPs fitting into the broader financial strategy of a company? So, like some financial metrics to know and evaluate the impact of ESOPs.
See, one of the, while a lot of people may be thinking that, the ESOPs comes for a company, it's a free of cost, but there is already a cost, which is, like we discussed with the various valuation methodology, there is a cost which company also needs to charge into their income statement. And it's a very simple philosophy is that, like, the company is committing today, uh, that in 10 rupees you will get a company shares in after 4 year, where the company's maybe the valuation will be 100 rupees. So for that also there is a cost which needs to be parked into the PNL, and which is a hit to the PNL. So that's where the finance controller along with the HR and management needs to align, discuss, like the way, few of the variables, like the what should be the duration of the ESOP, what is the market volatility, and other things which needs to be factored out, so that the cost is, like the, I would say, to be taken in an effective manner into the PNL, so which is beneficial for both the company as well as for the employees, because there are some complexity into there also. There are some cost which gets uh, while this does not erode your net worth, because it's a simple accounting entry, it's a PNL to the net worth. But what happens if there is some employee who resigns after vesting and other thing, so the employees is also not getting benefit. It is getting parked into, you are not able to reverse the cost and all those things. So I think that's where the finance team plays a very important role, to do the simulation analysis, that with if you change this factor with the management, this will be the cost, this is, and aligning with the the what is the HR or management willingness for the employee, and for the long term. So I think that's where and also because in today's era where there is a lot of attritions which is there, so this is a very important factor which needs to be balanced out with the PNL, as well as with the human capital.
True, true. So basically, ESOPs being a part of the compensation usually falls under the HR umbrella.
Yeah,
What I can hear is that this is a finance team supportive role where they can
yeah,
ensure that it's in this implementation is a success, and
correct,
finance has
correct.
to actually give these metrics to show how it is a success. Right? That was really
Yeah, correct.
insightful, because I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
the finance team always feels like ESOPs, L tips, because this is a part of the long term incentive
correct.
plan, always falls under the HR umbrella.
Yeah.
So the finance team will feel more connected to the entire ESOP program, and this is like a key point where when decisions are made based on financial impacts, financial matrix, and support from the finance team, I'm sure it will be more of a success, right?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
if okay, if I consider this, where the finance team also feels a part of the ESOP umbrella, ESOP implementation, let's see how we can connect these dots and bring it to employee engagement. Okay, so
Yeah.
is there like a direct connection between ESOPs and employee engagement? Have you seen like a direct connection or any trends in maybe APAC financial or your industry where, like sticking to our topic, where ESOPs can directly lead to growth or they can leverage it? What is it that you have seen out of your experience here?
See, from my experiences, the ESOP is one of the, again, I will just for the sake of reporting, by the name itself, it says, stock ownership plan. So the employees are like, if it is communicated properly, employees feel engaged in the company from day one. And, they are highly committed to the organization because if communicated properly, employee understand that apart from monetary compensation, if I contribute, and I work in a with higher productivity, creativity, and all those things, this will lead to the higher, like this will lead to the wealth creation in the future, because my ESOPs, which is there, is a piece of paper, but it will get converted into the shares, and which is I will be able to materialize at some point of time. And my 10 rupees will become 100 rupees with my contribution. So they are committed from the day one, and this also gives a lot of ownership, because the in today's era where it's a field of creativity, where a lot of things cannot be taught, or there are some processes which may be working 2 years back, but maybe they are not today. Like when I cleared my CA, we were not even taught what is Ind AS or IFRS, but today that's the reality. The accounting standards are gone, and now Ind AS is the the correct accounting standard where we need to rest. So that's where people have to come up to the curve, understand, because in the today's fast changing environment, regulations are changing, the accounting standards, and a lot of things are changing. So people take the ownership culture, things that we are part of, or we are the also the owner of the company, takes it to the next level, and align themselves to meet the company's objective or vision and mission, which is a mission which is there as a part of the charter of the company. So I think ESOPs, I would say, it creates an employee engagement. Employees are
True. Yeah.
continuously engaged into this, and also it's in a longer run, it also I think controls on the attrition and other thing. And as the employees spend longer time with the company, obviously the productivity and his contribution or her contribution in the organization is much more than, rather than having an employee who is coming, changing. We are getting employee going and exiting and coming back in every 1 year. So I think ESOPs are the most important piece, and it also influence a lot of companies trajectory in a positive direction. So I think the ESOPs in a overall scheme,
Yes.
it's a very good scheme if communicated and translated properly to the employees, and with the portal or any other the communication channels.
Yeah, true, Arvind. Also, before we wrap up the session, I would like to thank you. And we have touched upon so many topics here: employee engagement, how finance can support, how you can value ESOPs, how do you look at strategies while you're implementing ESOPs. But we could not deep dive into each of these topics because of constraint of time. We would like to connect with you separately or for another session whereby we will deep dive into each of these topics. So that will really help all of us here. Thank you so much, Arvind. Before
Thank you.
before
Thanks.
we wrap up,
Thanks.
yeah, thanks a lot. Before we wrap up, I would also like to say, we have a 12th national conference coming up. It's on 3rd December, and it's in Mumbai. So it'll be a fantastic opportunity for all of us to connect, maybe share ideas and learn from each other during, where we meet in person. And that kind of really helps understand this topic in more detail. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Arvind. It was really
Thanks.
nice
Thanks.
connecting.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.